Hey everyone, in this video we're meeting up with Seth from Nelson Tiny Houses, and he's going to give us a tour of one of the tiniest tiny houses on wheels that we've seen so far. It's a custom 16-foot long tiny house that Seth built for a friend who is an extreme minimalist that travels a lot and wanted a portable home that could be moved to different pieces of land as needed. It's a very small and simple home, similar to what we used to see when the movement first started, and it's always nice to go back to the basics and remember why tiny houses became so popular in the first place. So let's go meet up with Seth to get a full tour.
So we built this house for my friend. We were really happy when he came to us and asked us to do a tiny house, just because we haven't done one in a long time. When I first started, the first 3 or 4 houses that I built in my driveway were about this size, and then they slowly got bigger and bigger just because people wanted bigger houses. Yeah, I missed building really small houses because it's so fun to build them. All the steps go by really quickly. Also, just looking at them, they're very adorable. There's something so satisfying about seeing something so tiny. It's almost like they're bite size. It's actually just, I think it's just 14 feet. And then there's a 2-foot little bump out for the kitchen. So 16 total and about 8.5 wide. Our bigger houses we actually build out of 2x6 wood. But this one, because it was so small, we went with 2x4s. So I think there's only R14 in the walls with Roxol insulation. And maybe R22 in the ceiling. But it's just so small. I know that he does not need much to heat it. He gets water from the nearest house and brings it over, and then he just has an extension cord for power. We're gonna finish his bathroom this winter. We're gonna bring it back to the shop before the snow flies. Finish the bathroom, because right now he just uses the outdoor shower and an outhouse. There's definitely a hookup for water, so he may end up in a place with pressurized water. For now, he's lugging it. It's just electric heating. It's also, this site is very exposed to the sun, so there's a lot of southern exposure and a lot of big windows. And yeah, I've been here in March looking at birds with him out the window, and he has no heat on, and it's really hot. So I don't think in this site it doesn't require much heat. The kitchen is very simple. It's the smallest kitchen we've ever put in a tiny house. Here we only had about 6 feet by 2 feet to put the whole kitchen. And so there is just a little hot plate that's electric, of course, and a little electric fridge underneath. We did pretty simple, lots of plywood everywhere with a varathane on it, and it's nice because it's so durable, and I think it also adds a bit of rigidity to the structure when it's going down the road. Yeah, all the drawer fronts are just quite simple pine with a bit of a whitewash on them, and there's some LED lighting here and there just to keep the electricity low. And of course a big window to look out while you're doing the dishes. Behind all this open storage is the bathroom, but it was really nice to utilize this wall for storage. And it's nice that everything's so visible, but it's nice just because things don't get kind of lost behind other things when you store things like this. And we actually, yeah, it's just a 2x4 wall, but we just put plywood on the other side and then left all the cavities open for storage. And then there is this little, I guess it's a bit of a workspace, and yeah, a bit of a drawer for storage underneath it, and yet another window to look out. And there's a bird feeder strategically placed right in front of the window. We've actually seen some pretty rare birds out in front of his house, so it's a good spot for bird watching. For the loft where he sleeps, and I think there's actually a queen size bed up there. We just use 1 inch by 1 inch metal tubing and then put 3/4 inch plywood on top of it. And that was, of course, to save space. He's also a pretty tall person. So the fact that I usually figure if I can walk under it comfortably, then it's probably good enough. But he still has, I think about almost 3 feet. Yeah, using metal is definitely a really good way to minimize just the structural part of the loft, because usually it's made out of maybe 2x4s or 2x6s, which take up a lot more valuable space in your tiny house. So yeah, we try to incorporate metal whenever we can. So the ladder, again, quite a simple construction design, but we did do 2 sets of hooks so that, yeah, when you want to put it down, it hooks on really well onto this nice piece of clear fur up here. So it's nice and sturdy going up. And then when you want to put it out of your way, there's that second set of hooks. And then there's quite a bit of storage at this end of the loft. Because it is so big, his bed is kind of further back. But we did put 3 windows just up there on that side that all open, and then a couple openers on the other side so that you can really get a lot of cross ventilation up there. There's not a lot in the living room, which I think is kind of a good thing because it makes it feel really open. There's just this sitting area. It could also act as an extra spot to sleep. And then there is a lot of storage underneath it. And then there's also a hammock behind me that I know he uses a lot. So it's just big enough for the hammock to go from corner to corner. We built it for him to be a permanent residence, and so he's here all year. He does go on big birding expeditions, and I think that was part of it, is that he wanted to use it as a base so that he could travel and not be spending a lot of money on maintaining a place while he's traveling. But he also, doesn't have a lot of possessions. As far as I can tell, he just really likes to live alone and to be in a beautiful natural setting. So this allows him to pick, the most beautiful setting that he can find without having to own the property.
You can see more of Seth's beautiful tiny house builds on his website, on YouTube, and on Instagram, and we'll link to those in the description below. We'll also link to a tiny house tour playlist below if you want to see more tiny house tours like this. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.